Time.
It's November 1st, and the story is for English, and it's called The Curb. The sun shone brightly on the car's red hood. It sparkled on the glossy wood of the dashboard and illuminated the built-in clock that read 1:30. Jess and I had just finished lunch at the Valley Mall, and were headed to this girl Jess knows, Sarah's party in Harrisburg. The highway traffic was heavy this time of day, and the car needed gas. "Hey, man," I nudged Jess. His head was tilted back and his mouth was partly open. Every so often his fingers would twitch to the music. "I got to put gas in this thing. You know where the cheapest is?" "Yeah," he replied. "The first Greencastle exit, you know?" His eyes still rolled up at the ceiling. But which station?" Jess's head lurched forward, and then he swung to look at me. "The AC&T. His eyes widened. The one with the car wash," he added. I nodded, and Jess went back to looking at the ceiling, this time more alert than before. "You want to listen to the new CD that Dylan made?" "Sure," Jess grunted. "Where is it?" It's in the glove box." Jess reached into the compartment in front of him and fumbled around with the contents. Finally he pulled out the CD. Slowly he opened the case, like it was some sacred object. Then he softly, surely lifted the CD out of the case and put it gently in the CD player, and it began to load. Jess dropped the case on the floor and the music started. "Josh," he sighed, "this is hardcore." Jess looked at me. His left eye twitched expectantly. "I know, it's intense." "Yeah," Josh screamed, shaking his head. His hair swished violently around his face. His fingers mimed an air guitar. This went on until we made it into Greencastle. The music and our lane had slowed down, but the other lane was moving smoothly. "God," I mumbled, "this sucks." "Yeah," Josh replied. His hand was on the window, propping his head up. "I wish we could just switch lanes." I said as I reached for the sound knob, turning it all the way up. "Well, we could," I smirked. "What?" Jess looked at me, eyes wide. "Are you crazy?" "Nah." I noticed that the traffic in the other lane was completely clear. Jess stared at the other lane. "No," he whispered. "No!" I nodded. "God, you're insane." I pulled the car into the other lane and kept going until we were in the front of the traffic. As I went to turn into the other lane, another car came from the opposing side. Without thinking, I hit the pedal. "Shit!" I screamed out as the car went zooming out of control. "What are you doing?" Jess yelled out hysterically, his hand clutched to the sides of the seat. They both screamed at the top of their lungs. We both screamed at the top of our lungs as the car shot forth, looking as if it would hit the gas station. The car hit something hard that I could not see, and the road became the sky. Everything was slowing down, and our screams filled my ears like the ringing shots of a high-powered rifle. "We're gonna hit the pumps," I wailed. The CD case that was on the floor spun up and hit Jess in the nose. Then it flew into the windshield and stayed there. The car made a horrible noise as it hit the ground with an earth-shaking thud. We could hear the metal of the hood screeching against the pavement until it came to a halt. And then the music stopped. Everything was silent and still. "Wow," Jess whispered. "Are you all right, man?" He looked at me. His hair fell straight up, and I could see his forehead was clouded with pimples. I nodded. Let's get out," I said, gasping for air. We didn't know how to exit a flipped vehicle, but after a while of staring blankly at each other, Jess just shrugged. Then Jess and I slowly unbuckled our seatbelts and opened the door. Jess fell out of the car onto the sidewalk. Shaking, he got up from the ground and said, "Your dad's gonna kill you when he sees what you did to this car." I couldn't say anything. I just stared at the car. Then I saw it. The curb. I pointed to it. "Yeah, that's what saved us," he smiled, looking at me. "At least you didn't kill anybody." "I should say so. You two are very lucky to be alive," a rough voice said from behind me. Suddenly a hand was on my shoulder. "You could have killed us all." An old man in overalls with a long beard held me in a side hug and pointed to the gas station. I turned to look at it all. Jess, the man, myself, all those people in those cars. Tears ran down my cheeks. What did... I shuddered. What do I do now? I finally choked out, looking at the old man for answers. He looked at me and whispered, "What do you think we're going to do?" I gulped. Jess flinched and stared at me. The end.